when we economists look at the various indicators out there, we can see that the inflationary pressures are easing off, but they are not going to ease off at the same pace as you might have experienced in terms of wholesale interest rates going down, mortgage interest rates, term deposits going down, in the likes of, like I say, the Asian financial crisis and the global financial crisis. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another short stint from myself on the New Zealand economy, interest rates, and what's happening in the housing market. Now, just a few days ago, we got the official data from Statistics New Zealand showing that the New Zealand economy shrank by 0.1% during the March quarter. Now, because we also shrank by 0.7% during the December quarter of 2022, that means that officially the New Zealand economy is in recession. Now, if you've been around long enough like myself, you'll have this image in your head of recession means a lot of businesses failing. It means that there's a big jump in the unemployment rate, lots of people losing their jobs, and it also means that inflationary pressures fall away relatively quickly and interest rates fall quite sharply, because certainly that's what happened with the global financial crisis of 2008, 2009, and also the Asian financial crisis of 1997-98. But as I've been highlighting for an extended period of time now, there are some fundamental differences out there, especially when it comes to the labour market. Now, in my most recent weekly commentaries, I have a look at what tended to happen in the first half of a year when we went into recession, going back about 30 years. And each time, as the economy would shrink, we'd also see the number of people in work going down in New Zealand. So pretty much what you'd expect to see happening with a recession. That is not actually the case this time around. We saw the economy shrink, as I've said, late last year and early this year. But we've also seen job numbers in the country improve by 0.5% in the December quarter and 0.8% in the March quarter. So this is a recession in which people really aren't losing their jobs, outside maybe of a few sectors where things got relatively ballistic during the pandemic, such as house construction and also some areas of retailing and also the technology sector. Outside of that, businesses are still relatively hungry for employees, especially if we look at the likes of the hospitality, the tourism sector. There is still basically very good level of job security in the New Zealand economy. So this is completely different from what we've seen in the past in New Zealand. And there's a number of implications from that. The first implication is that because people can generally see they're either going to retain their job or get another one relatively quickly if they get laid off, that will influence the willingness of people to buy a new car, a couch, or even a house, as we can see with the first home buyers who since February this year have been moving relatively firmly into the housing market. Not so much at all the investors. In fact, with the interest rates at high levels, the loss of another 25% of interest expense deductibility, the investors generally are moving out of the sector, and that is providing good scope for the first home buyers to move in. But when we have this sort of job security, it means some extra sort of underlying inflationary pressure which the Reserve Bank has to think about. Now, when we economists look at the various indicators out there, we can see that the inflationary pressures are easing off, but they are not going to ease off at the same pace as you might have experienced in terms of wholesale interest rates going down, mortgage interest rates, term deposits going down, in the likes of, like I say, the Asian financial crisis and the global financial crisis. The way we're seeing things at the moment, most of us, is that interest rates are still likely to be pretty firm for all of the rest of this year into the first half of 2024, but at some stage towards, most of us are thinking, the middle of 2024, we're likely to see the Reserve Bank acknowledging the weakness in the inflationary pressures, and maybe then the interest rates start to ease. Until then, I find it very difficult to say anything other or different from what most people are thinking, in that fixing for a 1 year an 18-month, or a 2-year term is probably the optimal decision for most people out there, given what interest rates are likely to do. But do keep in mind that this is a relatively unique economic environment we are living through. We haven't lived through this post-pandemic environment before. There's a boom in the migration numbers going on, so a lot of uncertainty out there. But overall, I think probably now, certainly hopefully now, we've got the peak in the interest rates, but the declines are going to take quite some time to come through. All the best out there.